For more, let's bring in Dan Clifton. He's head of policy research at Strategas. Dan, it's always great to see you. How do you expect that to play out? Is the president going to win and get this bill passed?
Well, we think the bill will wind up becoming law one way or another. This is a never-ending drama issue, Kelly. This bill was on a path to passage earlier this year. The president said, nope, I want to put an institutional ban on private equity from owning homes. That process had to restart. It's taken several months. It's now passed both chambers of Congress. And I think Emily did a great job of explaining what those options are. The president could veto this legislation, and if he does, he'll get overridden and looking weak. So the president's looking more at a pocket veto strategy where he just doesn't sign it unless he's going to get the SAVE Act. And we don't think that that strategy really gives the president leverage because you have to be adjourned. There's a lot of requirements around that. And so if the president doesn't sign this bill in 10 days and the Congress keeps the session open through the July 4th holiday, it's very likely that this bill will become law itself. And I guess, the president's just looking to gain leverage as he goes in with the senators who oppose the SAVE Act and trying to be able to get some sort of concession on the SAVE Act. And today's cancellation was one way of trying to do that. But I think his options are still limited here, despite the drama in D.C.
What would you give the odds of some version of the Save America Act passing, Dan, and how much else might be held up if he thinks this is, I think you said it was a matter to him of national emergency. So if he continues to put that first and foremost, what else might not happen or might need to happen?
Yeah, well, we went through this earlier this year with the president where he said he wasn't going to sign any legislation until he got the Save America Act. And since then, the Department of Homeland Security has been funded and other pieces of legislation have passed. So we go through these cycles with the president on what can and cannot pass. I understand the president thinks that this is extremely important to pass the Save America Act. And there's really two options. The first is that the Senate could break the filibuster and you would have the Republicans breaking the filibuster, which they don't want to do, and then pass that law, that bill in the legislation. Or two, you could try and move it through reconciliation. And as you'll see, the Speaker of the House will say, look, we're going to insert the Save America Act and Reconciliation 3.0. It probably got to get winnowed down to meet the reconciliation requirements. But we don't expect Reconciliation 3.0 to pass into law. We don't think it's going to get through the House. And even if it does get through the House, we don't think it's going to get through the Senate. So there are very limited options here for the president's approval ratings going down. I think the most important point that Emily was making in the introduction to this segment is that the president and the Senate are just at war on so many different issues, whether it's the FISA law, whether it's the weaponization fund, whether it's the intervening in primaries and Texas senator and Louisiana senator. And I just don't expect it to get done. And if you ask me to put a number on it, I'd put 15-20% at most.
Okay. And by the way, if this does indeed become law still on the housing front, you think it benefits manufactured housing stocks? Absolutely. I'm just going to mention a couple: Cavco, Champion, ECN, FB Financial, Legacy Housing, Louisiana Pacific, Patrick Industries. There's a lot in that basket, and it's just worth keeping an eye on those stocks, which, to your point, have been outperforming. I also wanted to ask Dan about what are your thoughts about this election in New York City last night?
Yeah.
Some say don't overreact. The Democratic Socialists are just kind of the left wing of the Democratic Party by another name. Others are saying some of the things that they claim to stand for could be dangerous and maybe dangerous to the financial system or to the New York economy or not. What are the implications?
Let me take a little different task. I wrote a whole long note on this. Yes, these are elections in urban areas in a Democratic state. But this is the populace coming for the establishment, Kelly. We saw this in 2016 with Trump. It's now happening on the Democratic side. And you have a sitting mayor who just took out two Democratic incumbent congressmen. This is a big deal. And so I think whether it has sustainability, you have to watch the Maine Senate race. You have to watch the Michigan Senate race. If the Democrats begin to get these progressives winning on a statewide basis, it is really going to set the agenda for the 2028 Democratic primary. And I will tell you, Kelly, I was on your show in 2020 during the primary election. Bernie Sanders was winning for most of that primary right up until COVID hit. The field consolidated and allowed Biden to run. And so the progressives already have had strength in those primaries. They're now looking to complete that in 2028. And the best way to sum it up is there's now 4 political parties in America. 2 in the Republican, 2 in the Democrat. One is populist, the other one is establishment. And all of this is happening, Kelly, on the 10-year anniversary of Brexit, where the right populism began to emerge. But you're really starting to see it emerge on the left side.